Do you want to move on? Okay. Is also going to be reading a piece inspired by guava. And her favorite words at the minute are Elijah and blue. And it's Aisha Sabatini's song.
This has been super fun. So, I too struggled with this guy, and but I came up with a fairly academic approach. I hope that's okay. So the essay or lyric essay that I've come up with is entitled "Tropical Threads: Manifestations of the Guava Fruit, both subtle and even more subtle in contemporary literature." So I thought I would consult some of the masters of modern literature for insight into this magical fruit. In the novel A Book of Common Prayer, Joan Didion writes, "She speared a shrimp, dipped it in mayonnaise, and offered it to Victor." This is about food, but not a guava. James Baldwin says in Giovanni's Room, "The trees grew green those mornings. The river dropped, and the brown winter smoke dropped downward out of it, and fishermen appeared." I had hoped with mention of trees that there might be a guava tree. But let's be realistic. The novel takes place in Paris. Seguye Gavre Medhin in Fire or Bloom writes, "Where we perished before becoming, where we fell off before flowering, where we got old before maturing, by how to become bloom or fire we've been eluded," which is reminiscent of fruit growing plump on a tree. And it's very possible that a guava was the inspiration for this stanza, because an organic company out of Ethiopia, the poet's country of origin, sells guava jam. And as a side note, they also sell oilseed and pulse made from nigger seeds. I know this from the extensive research that I conducted in preparation for this essay. I thought I had a chance when in Caucasia, Danzy Senna mentioned buying fresh husks of corn at the side of the road, and the locals stared at my mother, who I just met, Fanny Howe. It was amazing. Thanks to Lee, working at the Poetry Center. The strangely garbed woman, corpulent, blonde, boisterous, wearing a Mexican scarf around her neck and her hair in twin Indian-style braids, shrieking at the size and color of the tomatoes this year. But no cigar. Eduardo Galeano was more than likely eating a mango, I mean a guava, when he wrote, "Before the rains, in the season of the new moon, they strip off the bark of the amate tree. The stripped tree dies. On its skin, the Mexican Indians at the Balsas River region paint flowers and fantasies, radiant mountain birds and monsters lying in wait, where they paint the daily round of events in communities which greet the Virgin in devout procession and summon the rain in secret ceremonies." Essentially, I was just looking for a way for other writers to complete this essay for me. Barry Lopez had surely dreamt about his mother slicing guava in the kitchen of his childhood the night before writing in Mornings in Coleraine that the vivid dress of the macaws seems an extension of the perfectly appointed table before me. Starched linen, royal Doulton china, a ripe cassava melon I've just begun is as succulent as honeycomb. The coffee is dark and robust. I thought maybe it said guava in Aimé Césaire's poem State of the Union, but really it says gloves. As in spring slipping its gloves from delicate hands, in explosions of shells and silica which loosen the blood clots of fear, dissolve the blood clots of hate, swelling with age in the thread of rivers of blood. I can't be sure, but it seems possible that my friend Dauda may have been referring to the particular vulnerable feeling people get when they remember the color of a halved guava when he wrote, Sayun vi jaraja, jarama ki na wabama jege ki me ab. And if anyone here speaks Wolof, we can confirm this matter sooner rather than later. Seems possible, actually. It's a pretty worldly crowd. Anyway, I'm positive that I was already in love with a boy named Nicholas, which is to say, a light in the scent of guava, with every step I took down the streets of springtime London when I read the words, for one moment she felt that if they both got up, here, now, on the lawn, and demanded an explanation, why was it so short? Why was it so inexplicable? Said it with violence, as two fully equipped human beings from whom nothing should be hid might speak. Then beauty would roll itself up, the space would fill, those empty flourishes would form into shape. If they shouted loud enough, Mrs. Ramsay would return. Mrs. Ramsay, she said aloud. Mrs. Ramsay. The tears ran down her face. Presumably in a room full of Meryl Streep fans such as ourselves, a quote of this nature need not be cited, but I'll be safe and say that this comes from Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse. When Bell Hooks wrote in Teaching to Transgress, currently, the students I encounter seem far more uncertain about the project of self-actualization than my peers and I were 20 years ago. What she means is that in the past decade of teaching, she has on more than one occasion unconsciously fantasized that her students have guavas for faces. Michael Ondaatje had eaten guava naked with at least 7 different lovers when he embodied the voice of Buddy Bolden in Coming Through Slaughter, imagining Nora walking to me slowly to tell me I am mad. I put the chair down and I sit in it, tired, the rain coming into my head. By the time the book was published, the number of people with whom Ondaatje had eaten guavas naked shot into the double digits, due to a writing conference in Jakarta at which Joyce Carol Oates was not present. In the process of writing the chapter entitled Enlightened Relationships in the seminal book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle imagined being pelted by various tropical fruits at conventions and lectures if he somehow misworded the following passage. When you know the menstrual flow is approaching, before you feel the first signs of what is commonly called premenstrual tension, the awakening of the collective female pain body, become very alert and inhabit your body as fully as possible. When the first sign appears, you need to be alert enough to catch it before it takes you over. This editor was confident that the use of an anatomical guava metaphor could be removed with little to no detriment to this narrative.